Shabbat Shalom. It's been a while since I've made a video. Just getting ready for the day. It's later on in the day because we rest, whatever that looks like for our family on Saturdays, and typically that's been sleeping in because there's been a lot of busy transitions going on in our family. I felt like prompted to do a video because there's been things stirring in my heart, and I've been sharing a lot on my Facebook, my personal Facebook, about the state of the world when it comes to Israel, when it comes to Charlie Kirk, and questioning and poking holes at some of the narrative that's out there. I don't know if this video is going to be too much for some. I don't think for the state of the world and where we need to be looking at things right now. I'm going to be putting my nose ring in, so I have been feeling prompted to ask the hard questions and to ask people to start thinking about this, knowing that this is not popular. This is really coming against different ideologies. But when you really think about it, the war that we're all encountering and facing in this world is a war of ideologies. It's not a war of it starts off with ideology, and, the shepherd that I follow is one that speaks truth and is willing to lay down his life in that. And I know that this is highly fueled content, but I feel like it's conversation that needs to be had because there's a lot that's at stake right now, and unless you're speaking to it, you're being complicit with it. And there's a lot of reasons why we are complicit. A lot of times we have fear and actual ties spiritually that would put us in danger. And I've been doing a lot of the undoing work of what has been keeping me bound up. Yeah, but I'm doing a video right now, and I'm not sure if you want to be a part of it. You want me to pause it?
Sure.
So, as I was saying, that the war that we're facing is a war of ideologies. And, there has been so much of an oversaturation of information for all of us that we're all triggered or come to conclusions based off of our experiences that can keep us from really hearing the heart of a matter, because people are using terminology or language that reminds us of something. And so whether we make something that's really polished to explain and then being told that's inauthentic or unrelatable or egotistical, or there's a lot that anybody who's going to live their life, and you have to have faith of some sort to live your life, we're going to be met up with that, and then you can get on the defense, or you can go more inward and be like, what is at stake here? What is at the heart of what's going on here? And sometimes we can stop ourselves from doing anything because it can feel like, well, what is at the heart, and what is it that I'm supposed to be bringing to the table? And it can feel pointless or like a wandering ship. But I have to say that your voice is meaningful. It says in the word in Revelation that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And our lives are our testimony. And if you're stirred to bring something to the table, I encourage you to do that. I'm doing that myself with this video right now. It's not polished. You know, it's Shabbat, and I love to just soak in the Lord's presence in this day, and then carry on to the next day and have that really set the tone for my life, and it has. But Jesus said that Sabbath was not, man was not made for Sabbath. Sabbath was made for man. And I feel a stirring to expose things that are in the darkness, that are being played in high places for the purpose of controlling people's voice, putting them into places that we're at war with one another. And this can seem fanatical to some. It's not popcorn and cotton candy sort of video content. It's not, there's an urgency in my spirit, similar if I were in Israel, what that might feel like to actually speak truth, knowing how triggered people are. So where am I coming from when I make these videos and I am long-winded? I'm coming in here because it's light in here, and I don't want to go out into the rest of the house right now when the washing machine is loud and my family are, you know, in a different space, and so I won't be able to stay with this train of thought right now. With that said, is we have people who are committing suicide because of intense self-talk that would prevent them from just living their life. So I'm going to take my supplements. That's one thing I need to remember. And see, you can hear my washing machine. It's loud, but you know, we're on a tight budget and it's working right now. So where is, I guess this needs to be plugged in. So I'm in my follicular phase right now, and omega-3 fatty acids, B complex, I'm not going to do magnesium right now. I'll do it in the nighttime. I am going to take a lower dose DIM because I need to get rid of some of the estrogen I'm breaking out around the sides here. Where is that other one? Calcium D-glucarate. Just to get out some of this excess estrogen. Even though it's not the best time to be taking a probiotic, with the rest of my supplements, I'm taking one. I've got adaptogenic mushrooms in my shake, tyrosine, matcha, maca, spirulina, moringa, brewer's yeast. Okay. I am going to do a little bit of ashwagandha. James, are you putting ashwagandha in the shake?
Yeah.
You are? Okay, that's okay. I'm going to take it as a pill. That's okay. I'm going to take it as a pill form anyways.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did moringa, matcha. I did maca.
Just
moringa.
a little bit for me? Just a little maca?
Yeah,
okay.
I did less than what I wanted.
Okay.
Are we recording?
Yeah, because I'm trying to just do an authentic video of like self-care and also just where we're at with the state of the world. I know it doesn't make a lot of sense, but I feel like this is where the world's going, is we need more of this in our lives. Say hi. Hello. So why am I doing this? Why am I moving from space to space and communicating things that seem like they're touch points but maybe don't connect? And why am I taking the time to do this when it's long and drawn out, and maybe most people aren't going to watch it or understand like the flow of it? Like, what's the point? But I think that that's exactly the point, is that we need to be living our lives in expression, communicating our stories in a way that we're not just hiding it because it's being labeled as whatever the judgments are that are out there that are so harsh right now for everyone. You know, and to share parts of our story, to share our lives, our flow. You know, when you have people like coming and judging, it's like we've been taught to like self-preservate and not go there, you know, because it's going to then take away our peace of mind, or so we think. That's what we're conditioned to believe. But peace of mind is so much more than what other people's thoughts and assumptions are of us. So I'm probably going to do another video soon that touches more succinctly to each of these points, or maybe just content, you know, as I can, like writing content. I think video and hearing someone's voice is important because you're able to see like more where they're coming from, but then there's also other things that come with it that just makes putting succinct videos and taking the time to make it tailored so that it can be better well received in short nuggets. But with that said, some of us like to seek out truth and like to feel through the different nuance to really get to the heart of something, because there's more intimacy found in that process. So for those of you that are like me and, you know, want to just sit with me and hear what I have to say, I welcome you. I welcome the dialogue, I really do. It's not easy to do this, and I think that that's the whole point, is I want to encourage people, whether it's content on social media or it's in your natural lives. I think we're all at a precipice right now with what's going on in the world at large, for us to live our lives out loud, that it's important. And I do believe that there's going to be a lot more censorship in because of people being very highly triggered and laws being passed. There's going to be more censorship. So I believe what the Lord has told me to do is to walk around Meta like Jericho and just speak truth. Yeah, there's censorship here as far as what Meta will allow to be seen in certain people's algorithms and like on their news feeds, but there's also like an area where they've been held accountable for this particular season, where I feel like the Lord has just said to get on and to speak truth. That's where, you know, like, don't let someone else silence you before they actually, you know, can take your life or silence you. So I say all that, you know, knowing that it's not going to be fully understood, that in some people's eyes they could say, oh, you're triggered, or you're a person that's just taking, you know, ideologies and running with it in a paranoid way. But I could say the same of any other individual that is not looking at the signs of the times, is not caring about what is going on with humanity, and then is spinning it in a way where they're like, I'm going to keep to my belief system and not try to love other people of other belief systems. And I would challenge you, if you find yourself in that camp, that you instead of just writing people off, that you sit and you think and pray and challenge your own heart. Where are my judgments coming from? So all this to say is I wanted to touch on the exposure that Candace Owens is bringing to the case with Charlie Kirk's murder. There is a lot of information out there to try to spin her stories in ways that is not true. I would go to her actual YouTube channel and see what she is putting out there, seeing the information that she is coming in contact. This is somebody I've not stayed, in the loop with. I have actually really had a kind of a little bit of a distaste for her when she was really a strong MAGA voice, just because of the polarization that I could see with the left and the right for so many years. And but she's really coming to a place where she's been asking the harder questions. She was with Turning Point, and she was a speaker with Charlie Kirk until about last year, where she was forced to stop working there because she was questioning the narrative that Israel was having over here when it comes to, she was wanting to have more discussion about checks and balances with the Israeli government. And there's so much when it comes to terms that has been labeled as anti-Semitic or all sorts of terms. So even for me to share this, just trigger, you can't talk about this stuff. But I feel like we all can. I think that if your heart has love, that you got to work through communicating through that. And for me, I know in the depths of my soul that I love Jewish people, that I love what they carry. I know who they are in God's eyes, and reading the Word, there's such a deep appreciation for the tribe of Judah and what they carried to bring Messiah. And so, I'm trying to communicate to a wider audience of people, because I believe that we all really should. We shouldn't just speak in our own echo chambers. We should challenge ourselves to speak truth and love, not truth in our own prejudices. And so with that said, is, when I'm talking about what she is bringing to the table as far as questioning Israel's narrative, that really was not liked by a lot of Christian Zionists, about the Zionists that were supporting, that have been supporting MAGA, that have been supporting Turning Point. And because of that, she could no longer work. There's reports stating that she's not been in contact with Charlie Kirk, that there was a falling away. But if you watch her videos, you can see she's got proof that they remain friends, and that he was actually starting to challenge the narrative, because he was a person of truth. He wanted to get to the truth of the matter, and he was listening to people's questions about shouldn't we have checks and balances in order with our government, and where our money is going to. So with that said, she has been investigating the narrative as far as his murder, who actually murdered him, very similar to JFK. There's still conspiracies out there, but do we really trust our government? Do we? Does the left trust the right anymore? Does the right trust the left? Should we be trusting our government? Should we be trusting these nations that have had an agenda for a while? Or should we be loving people? That's the real question. So those of us that are asking these questions, those of us that are saying, I'm not sure we should be trusting the government. Why are we censoring those people? Why are you arguing with people that are saying let's love people, but let's be asking our governments to be held in checks and balances? It's because we've all been indoctrinated and conditioned to believe that that's conspiracy, or that's a psycho, or we just put these terms on people, and we're afraid as a human race. We want comfort. So I say kudos to Charlie Kirk. I really did not know about his life until after his death, and the way that he spoke for truth and his boldness, I commend. I think he was a martyr for his faith, and that is in the deep state of the nations, conspiring for their own agenda, that he started to question. And you can argue with me, but I would say do your own research. Don't just look at short little videos. Don't just go to your echo chambers and arguments, because really what comes down to it is that we're in a state of a world that if you are not looking at the world around you if you're not looking at it with eyes open, and you're just going from your own triggered, I want my own comfort, my own metric of what I think life should look like, that's going to be snatched out from underneath your feet. And you can shift the blame, you can point the fingers of those of us that are exposing and saying, you're the one who's bringing this on us all, you're the one who's bringing this on yourself. But at the end of the day, at the end of your day, you are going to be experiencing the truth of the reality that we all live in. And now is the time. Now is the time to be asking these questions. Now is the time to be getting into the Word, reading the Word for yourself, not just going with what nations are mandating, not just going with what political parties are saying or your friends are saying. We all want validation, but we need to learn to find our validation from the only one who really can give it to us. No man can give it to us. And that's a hard experience to finally grapple with and come to terms with. But there's freedom on the other side. There's joy on the other side. There's intimacy with humans on the other side when you can come to a place of, knowing your part, your portion, your part in this world, and what you have to offer and what you have to bring. And that usually is a rubbing against the tide. So I just want to encourage people to live their life out loud. And I think that's pretty much what I want to say. I don't know when I'm going to start getting into content for any sort of business. I don't know what the Lord is doing with all of that. I know He has been sustaining my family by faith the past 4 years, taking care of my mom, and our income has been lower than it's ever been in all of our years of marriage, and inflation's been crazy, and the Lord has been providing for us. So, and I say the Lord, it's not any person. So yeah, He is faithful. However it is that He is calling you to do, I say jump out of the plane and do what He's called you to do. I say jump out of the plane because that's what I did. I quit my job at 40, I jumped out of a plane, and it has been an interesting roller coaster since then. I'm not saying that's the way to do it, but that's the way I felt like God was leading me. So, yeah. God bless you. He has a plan for you. He has family in store for you. His ways are good. Read the Word of God. His ways are good. He's fruitful. He's the fruitful vine. Amen.